Okay, are we live? We are live. Hey guys, what's going on? James here. Welcome back to yet another episode of the MrBucsNation podcast. Joining me, as always, is Billy. His YouTube channel is Will_Walt_NFL. You guys can go check that out in the top of the description of this live stream. Billy, how you doing, man?
Feeling good on a Sunday, James. Feeling good.
Yeah, happy Sunday to everybody. Few different things. The Pro Bowl has been going on this weekend, Billy. There's going to be some interesting thoughts and opinions, that kind of tie into what we're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
could we actually just give a small round of applause for our guy, Baker Mayfield, winning the precision passing
He
competition?
not only did he go to the Pro Bowl, he defeated C.J. Stroud
Yes,
in a
got
very.
some payback for all the Bucs fans out there.
Now I have a question to start off this live stream. So did Mike choose not to go, Mike Evans?
I think he was listed as having an injury, like he
Okay.
couldn't go because he had an injury, which kind of sounds like, yeah, he chose not to go.
Okay, so because I saw that Tristan Wirfs was there, obviously Mike Evans was there, obviously, and I was like, or sorry, Baker Mayfield was there, obviously, and I was like, oh, where's Mike? And I thought, oh, he must have just not ended up going, which is fine at this point in his career. Why not, right? But for Baker, for Tristan Wirfs, I mean, hey, they'll still go, especially Baker. It's his first one, so
Yeah. I
um,
think it's pretty. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think Mike Evans during the offseason, doesn't he live in Texas? Doesn't he go back to
I think
Texas during
I
the offseason?
I think so. I think
For
speaking of
him to
Mike
go,
Evans, speaking of Mike Evans, we got him in the chat, and he says Baker is coming back. So there you go.
wow, that's wow, Mike Evans in the chat. That's amazing. I
Who
feel
would have
so honored.
who would have thought? But well, speaking of these players and whatnot, let's start it off by talking about a move that is heavily going to affect the players. Billy, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have an OC, and it is Liam Cohen. Congratulations to Liam Cohen for being the new offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former Kentucky Wildcats OC, former LA Rams OC. He's got experience both at the NFL and the collegiate level as a offensive play caller, a little bit at the NFL level. I believe he called plays for like one game, but it still counts. Um, but obviously more so at Kentucky was where he had made his name, and was really interesting. They hired this guy like 2 days after interviewing him. He was the last guy they interviewed, and they said, "Yep, we're bringing him in." What were your thoughts and opinions about this hire, especially the quickness of when they got that deal done in context to when they interviewed him?
Yeah, I thought we had talked about this obviously on a prior episode of the Mr. Bucks Nation podcast, and I really had two boxes, or two main boxes, I should say, that I felt like needed to be checked by whoever the offensive coordinator hiree was going to be. And box number one was prior experience, a working relationship, so there's already a foundation built with Baker Mayfield. Because although you're losing an offensive coordinator, if possible, you'd like to keep some continuity and you also would like to have some established rapport for Baker coming in. So that was a major box checked, and you talked about it. Liam Cohen has that history of Baker Mayfield, former Rams OC, right? Member of the Rams staff while Baker was there last year. The other major box that I wanted to have checked, and it's almost there's overlap between the boxes, but I felt like the Buccaneers should absolutely go for somebody off the 49ers staff, the Miami Dolphins staff, or the Rams staff. Those three offensive, I just call them coaching trees, I guess. All the branches off of those coaching trees, that's where a lot of the offensive gurus feel like they are sprouting out of, right? So I felt like that was really the way to go. I like where those offenses are. I also like that those schemes, I think the way the Buccaneers are built right now, they are built to be a play action pass team. A lot of quarterback action, play action, move the pocket, get the quarterback on the run, stretch the field vertically off of play action. I think that's what the Bucs are built to do, just with the personnel that they have. And you see a lot of that in those systems. And I think Baker could thrive in those systems as well as the pieces around him. So I absolutely love, to me, I think it's a great hire. I think they checked at least the boxes that I had and took into consideration. Well, we'll dive deeper in a second, but I want to hear your initial thought.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like the hire. I do. I think it's a great hire. I think that Liam Cohen was, again, he was the last guy on the list, but certainly not the least. I was impressed when I was looking at what he did at Kentucky. One interesting thing to note, Billy, was the year Liam Cohen was at Kentucky, his first year, they had 32 points per game. He left. I think they dropped down to 20. He came back. They went back up to 29. So, I mean, this dude obviously has an effect on offenses. With the
Great note.
Rams, I'm sorry.
It's a great note.
Yeah, and with the
Uh,
Rams, people are going to say, like, well, he obviously didn't call plays there. I think he did for one game. Sean McVay is the obvious guy calling plays there. I think what is also, but to me, what's important about being in that Rams system, so to speak,
mhm.
is you're learning from guys like McVay. If a guy like McVay is going to have trust in you, that's a pretty good guy to have trust in you, and have it. And if McVay wants you on his coaching staff, I mean, that's why I liked guys like Zach Robinson when he was available. That's why I liked guys. Um, there was another Rams guy that was interviewed for the position whose name I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But I believe he was like their Jake Peets. That's why I like Jake Peets. They were a part of that system over there with the LA Rams. And look, I mean, it's copycat league. I mean, at the end of the day, and I don't think it's a bad thing per se. Um, you don't have to reinvent the wheel with every hire. Um, and the Bucs hopefully got another piece of that coaching tree, right? I think that Liam Cohen, he's only 39 years old, so he's definitely gonna have some longevity, hopefully, in his career. And I think he's got all the tools to do an excellent job. Um, and all the ability, the resume, let's say. I was impressed with his resume. I thought, man, okay, this is a pretty good hire. Um, the only thing that struck me as interesting was like, I wonder how that came about. Like this was just the quickness of interview to hiring process, right? I think it was like again, Billy. I think it was only like 2 days. They they interviewed him and then they hired him. So it was a really quick turnaround. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, because to me, theory time is, and the Bucks didn't even have any second interviews with anybody, which was even more interesting. So here's my theory: the Bucks knew they wanted Liam Cohen this entire time. Okay, and they interviewed guys like Jake Peets. They wanted to interview guys like Zach Robinson. And maybe some other guys who had some experience with um, Liam Cohen in the past to pick their brains by like, hey, what are your thoughts on this guy? Is he a good candidate? Maybe if they have like some, maybe some weird positions with other teams like pass game coordinator or like offensive analyst or something like that. Maybe it's questions of like, would you want to join Liam Cohen's staff? Just some interesting thoughts and opinions from me. What was your thoughts about the quick turnaround of the hire?
Yeah, I would say I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say he nailed the interview, right? They may have definitely already had him on their radar. Then they bring him in, and if the guy interviews well, and you already like him, then I think probably the nail in a coffin in a good way, right? The final like, oh yeah, definitely was, Baker's like seal of approval, because Baker had talked about it came out while Baker's been at the Pro Bowl that, he approves of the move and the Bucs are aware that he approved of the move. So I think that that is something that could have really worked in his favor. Whereas, we don't know who Baker spoke up for and spoke up against, or if it was just they could have had Baker's consultation on every potential candidate or on just one. Liam Cohen could have got to the final point. They were like, hey, Baker, by the way, we're really leaning this way. What do you think? It's tough to know behind the scenes. I like your take on the fact that, yeah, they could have been interviewing other people who have potential ties and attachments to him and or potentially scouting out a future staff for him ahead of time almost. I think that's a solid take. I do want to also add, because you mentioned some people being concerned that he hasn't called plays in the NFL, but for one single game. Dave Canales didn't call plays at an NFL level or a college level at all prior to last year.
And he's the head
So,
coach of a football team now.
all right. So that doesn't necessarily, while experience is great, inexperience is not necessarily always a terrible thing either. So I did want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it again, to kind of put a bow on that, I think it's an interesting hire. I think that it's a nice hire. I really do believe that. A lot of people, somebody Timothy makes a good question here. Do they try and retain Thad Lewis? Man, you know, at this point, it's possible. I would say the answer is maybe. I'm gonna say lean more towards yes, Billy. Um, But to put a bow on it, I like the hire. I think it's a good hire. I think me and you are both in agreement on that. And look, just because you're the last person to get an interview does not mean you are not the best candidate or the preferred candidate for the job. Like folks, let's go through an empathy exercise here. Imagine we were all going to a job interview, separate job interviews, and we were the last one to get an interview. In fact, you wouldn't even know you're the last one. It just so happens you end up being the last one, and then they decide to hire you. Would you sit there and say, "Man, don't know why they hired me. I was the last one they interviewed." I mean, man, they didn't even want me. I mean, I was the last one on the list. No, of course not. You would say, "Oh, well, it doesn't really matter where I got interviewed. Apparently nailed the interview, and now I'm getting the job." Right, Billy?
Yeah. Wouldn't concern me at all the order in which I was seen.
Yeah, whether you're the first interview or you're the last interview, I don't think that's a full in. I don't think that's an indication as to the interest level. I mean, that's in business, that's in sports. So, uh, yeah, no, no. But I do want to talk about the ripple effect of this move. Me and you had both talked about the ripple effect of losing a guy like Dave Canales. Now, what about bringing in Liam Cohen? What is going on with this hire, Billy? How does this affect Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield was asked about the hire at the Pro Bowl, and he had said that, the continuity. He essentially said something which, it was really interesting. Baker Mayfield said something really interesting was that it's going to be a lot of continuity. It's going to be, he pretty much went as far as to say the same offense,
More or
right?
less. Yeah.
More or less, just
Pretty
different
good.
terminology. So when I look at those quotes, and I believe Rock Riley had the clip of it. In
Hmm.
fact, yeah, I don't know if we can pull up the clip today. I don't think we can pull up the clip for the class today. But um still, Baker seems like he said that he's a great guy. He said that um the offenses seems like it's going to have a lot of continuity, which is what Baker wanted. What are your thoughts and opinions as to how this offensive coordinator hire with Liam Cohen is going to affect Baker Mayfield coming back to the Bucs?
Yeah, I think any effect it has is a positive effect. I don't think there's any negative ramifications of the hire. I think the system will be similar, and different terminology is not going to be a big deal. And I think for Baker, I think a couple of the things that will really matter are when you get down to the nitty-gritty here coming up with contract negotiations and things like that. Who the Buccaneers hired as their offensive coordinator makes a difference in that moment. And Baker said as much. And you don't want to go into something unknown. You'd much rather go into something where you feel like, oh, I'm going to be comfortable here and this is going to set me up for success. I also think the Buccaneers are very shrewd operators in the fact that they treated Baker Mayfield. They treated him like a franchise quarterback. Table the discussion of whether or not you individually think he should be treated that way or is a franchise quarterback, but the Buccaneers treated him as such because to bring him in on that thought process on that discussion, even if it was just a tidbit at the end, like, hey, Baker, what do you think? Just keeping him in the loop is very courteous and very respectful. And it is what higher tier quarterbacks in this league, that's the treatment that they receive. And Baker Mayfield is not accustomed to that, right? And for Baker to receive is that is a very high level of validation. And we've all been validated at different points in our life. It feels great, right? Like it feels awesome. So for Baker to receive that validation, it gives you it if you're in his shoes, it gives you even more reason to want to come back because you feel like you're in a place that trusts you, respects your opinion, your judgment, wants to know what you think, and believes in your believes in you enough to care about your opinion. And I just think Baker Mayfield, that makes him, if he wasn't already, much more smitten with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in my mind.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb. It's really interesting. I've been thinking a lot more about, um, like definitive takes recently, right? Here's a definitive take. Baker Mayfield's coming back to the Bucs. He is. If there was ever any doubt, again, it's erased. It is erased. He's coming back, folks. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, he's coming back. Now, contract numbers and stuff like that, we can talk about that at a later date. But folks, he's coming back. They literally just hired an OC that worked with him before. They interviewed like 5 or 6 guys that had
Yeah,
some type of history with Baker Mayfield recently. He's coming back. And I
yeah,
think that that's fine. I think that that's completely fine. I think that that's a good decision to make. And you want continuity with your quarterback. That's huge. That's extremely important. And for Baker Mayfield to say this, hey, it's very simple. It's pretty much the same offense, just different terminology. Not only does that affect Baker Mayfield, that's going to affect Mike Evans, which I feel like he's going to be back. Which I mean, even if it was a different OC entirely, I still would have thought that way. But that's going to be great for the entirety of the offense, folks. Baker said the running backs are going to feel better. The wide receivers are going to feel better. The offensive line's going to feel better. This is all around a positive thing for the offense. People were worried when they lost Dave Canales, right? Why? Oh no, it's going to be a new system. It's going to be new.
right,
It's going to be new offensive mind. It's going to be an entirely new system, which means
right.
continuity out the window. You have your quarterback, the guy who was in that offense and in,
Thrived in that offense.
sorry,
Thrived in that offense.
thrived in both offenses,
Yeah,
coming out and saying, no, no, there's continuity there. I
yeah,
think I'm going to take that guy at his word and say, yeah, there's going to be continuity here. If Baker Mayfield's saying it's pretty much the same offense, just terminology, then it's pretty good. I even asked Trey Palmer when I interviewed him, hey, our offense is easier to learn, new systems easier to learn or harder to learn depending on the circumstances. He said, no, it's actually pretty easy. It's just terminology. So if that's the biggest thing that this offense has to worry about, you bet your bottom dollar there's going to be
yeah.
continuity. And that's a great thing. And it just doesn't affect Baker Mayfield, although it does mean he's going to probably, not even probably, it does mean he's coming back.
So James,
Um,
let me because you talked about definitive takes.
yeah,
I'm on the record. I think Baker Mayfield is. I agree with you. Definitively coming back, and I also think if Baker Mayfield comes back, I think Mike Evans will be back as well. I think that happens. But I want you to do me a favor. Can you put a percentage on it? Percentage chance Baker Mayfield is a Buccaneer next year. Are you willing to go 100?
I'm willing to go 100.
A hundred
Give
percent.
me 100. Give me
Ooh.
100. And if I'm wrong, well, we can talk about it later. But
If you're wrong, we'll edit this. We'll clip this.
and
Yeah.
we'll play it for the class later. But
Yeah.
look,
We'll clip this and put it on a loop.
yeah, but look, I'm 100% confident that Baker Mayfield's coming back. Okay? I am. And it's just the way it is. I think Liam Cohen's a big part of that. I think the continuity in the offense is a big part of that. And you know,
Just the way I think the Buccaneers are operating, they believe Baker Mayfield is coming back. You don't make these types of decisions and moves based around a guy who's temporary. You just don't, you know?
I agree with that. And I mean, hey, also real quick, hey, John Wolford coming back, baby. I mean, why? Whenever Dave Canales left, I thought, wow, he's going to go to Carolina. Now, bring him back. You know, bring him back.
I
But
love it.
But no, I think that this pretty much look. If there was ever any doubt in anybody else's minds, Baker's coming back, folks, and you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. I agree with it, and I just think it's a certainty at this point. So now we just wait for the contract to get sorted out, in my opinion, Billy. So yeah, I think that has a really interesting ripple effect. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and if we could go like you were kind of going further down, I do think it helps everybody to have continuity, right? Because Baker Mayfield expressed in his last post-game presser of the year, he talked about how he was excited to get into the offense next year in year two of the system. So obviously this is not year two of a system, right? It's a new, offensive coordinator, and it's going to be a really new staff all around at a lot of different places, right? A lot of new faces are going to be a part of the staff. But if you could have the best case scenario in that in that predicament would be to bring in a new face, but keep a lot of things still the same. So while it's not year two, it could potentially, it's also not truly going to be year one, maybe like 1.5, which is, it allows the Buccaneers to get a big jump on things. And Baker Mayfield, also having already been in the system, it gives him an opportunity to provide some tutelage, right? He can be a little bit of a coach on the field because he's not necessarily learning from ground zero the way others will. He can help other people through and be a leader in that regard, like in the classroom. And I think that's also very important, right? It also speaks to the opportunity for Baker to continue to grow as a leader, right? And if you can know something inside and out so well that you could teach it to other people, right? That's I just think that it sets Baker up in a very good spot heading into next year.
I agree 100%, man. So yeah, interesting ripple effects here with Liam Cohen, the offense, and Baker Mayfield coming back. Will you go 100%, Billy?
On Baker?
Yeah, coming back.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's coming back. I don't think there's any way. I don't think the Bucs let him. I think the Buccaneers would overpay to keep him. I hope that they don't have to overpay, but I think that they would overpay to keep him. I've thought that for a very long time. The Buccaneers haven't had a true young franchise quarterback in his prime ever. Like, I mean, come on, what are we talking about? So if they find a guy who they feel like could be that, they're not gonna let it. They're not gonna part ways with that. There's no way. As far as ripple effect, it'd be interesting to see if they draft any players that, um, also have a familiarity with Cohen.
It would be interesting. It
It'd
would
be
be
interesting if
interesting.
they kind of rely some on his collegiate experience as well.
We're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait and see. But let's pay attention to it, man. It should be fun. But that's the ripple effect. So it's a beautiful thing. Wait, listen.
Give me a quick percentage on Mike Evans.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So listen, there was rumors now. Okay,
Okay,
you ready for this?
cool.
There was a
Um,
rumor that Mike Evans is expected to command anywhere from 25 to 30 million dollars per year in free agency per the Houston Chronicle. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Now, that has led some people to say, "Oh, Mike Evans isn't coming back. He ain't coming back." Blah 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 blah. What are your thoughts and opinions on that? 25 to 30 million dollars for Mike Evans per the Houston Chronicle. Do you believe that? I mean, Houston. I mean, that's Mike Evans' home turf.
yeah, I
You
I
know,
think I think Mike Evans will be back. I think he would be worth. He deserves to be paid what the market dictates a top receiver to be paid. He is that. He's been the model of consistency. There are zero concerns, unlike with a lot of players. Mike Evans gives you zero concerns with anything off the field, anything in the locker room. There is zero. He is the model citizen. And on the field, his production speaks for itself. Right? He's never had a season under 1,000 yards. He's coming off of a fantastic year, and it was first year with a new quarterback. And I think it was really impressive to see the chemistry that Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans developed rapidly is, that's hard to do. I think some people underestimate. It's not the easiest thing to build chemistry with a receiver. Some people click instantly, some people don't. And it's hard to, if you don't, it's hard to get it. You really have to work at it. And Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans clicked very quickly. I think it was the second. Mike Evans scored a touchdown, I know, in the first game of the season, but I think the second game of the season, Mike Evans had a monster day. It's either the second or third game of the season. Mike Evans had like 100 plus yards, monster day. I just think the Buccaneers would be foolish not to shell out the money. I think it would be a stain on Jason Light's. It would be a stain on his resume as a Bucs general manager to not bring back easily the best offensive player the Buccaneers have had, really probably the best or second best player they have had in over a decade, in a very long time. So yes, I think Mike Evans is worth that. I think he should be back. I don't think Mike Evans is a guy who's going to go just to the highest bidder. As long as money is comparable, I think he'll pick the situation that suits him best. I could see him going to a team like Houston, because it is his hometown. They have a quarterback also that can certainly get him the football. Mike Evans is not going to go to a team. We could book it now. He's not going to go to a team without a quarterback, right? I know Mike Evans he's not a like out in front about himself guy, but Mike Evans is chasing history. He's not going to go to a team that doesn't have someone who can help him get to history. He needs 1,000 yards next season. So he's got to go to a team with a quarterback. So he's not just going to go to a team that has a lot of money and writes a big check. And the Buccaneers getting back Baker Mayfield, this is a big part of why I think that is so important for the return of Mike Evans. Mike Evans gets along with, likes, and has great chemistry with Baker Mayfield, and that matters a ton. Even if you don't think Baker Mayfield's a great quarterback, a franchise quarterback, that's fine. Mike Evans knows I can work with this guy and we can get good results. Look what we just did. That was our first year together. You would think the arrow is going to point upward. It's only going to get better. So I think there are options for Mike Evans to leave, but I don't think he's torn or pulled towards those options unless the Buccaneers really like lowball him.
I was looking at some of the numbers. I was looking at Spot Track's market value. They have it at 23.8. And I see that and I think he's probably going to get 25 to 30. And is that the right thing? Well, let's take a look. Stephon Diggs' average salary is $24 million per year. Cooper Kupp is 26.7. Tyreek Hill is at 30. Devontae Adams is at 28. So Mike Evans would be somewhere in that mix.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it is justifiable whenever you compare it to other contracts and given Mike Evans' frame of work, right?
Yeah.
It is comparable, 100% comparable. So whenever the number, and I know that that's like a scary number, right? You hear 25 to 30 million for a wide receiver, and it's like, oh man, you know, that's like paying a quarterback. But I mean, Mike Evans has shown that he is far and away the best player on this offense year in and year out. I mean, now obviously you have Tristan Wirfs in that mix as well, but Mike Evans has also proven that, like, yeah, kind of deserves to be paid like a quarterback because it doesn't matter who's in there at quarterback most of the
Yeah.
time. He's gonna serve. He's gonna thrive. You know, I mean, this guy has caught touchdown passes from Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Ryan Fitzpatrick, now Baker Mayfield. I mean, this guy's been all over the map in terms of quarterback play and levels of quarterback play. He's the most consistent dude in the game right now. So I mean, to say to agree with the number that rumor is talking about, ultimately, is that going to be what he's going to get? We'll have to wait and see. No. Today's a day of definitive takes. I believe he will get around 25 to 30 million dollars. I think he will. He's going to, and I think the Buccaneers are going to pay that, and I think he is going to be back. That's 100%, 100%er on that one, Billy. 100% on both.
Yeah, Mike Evans, a big part. There's a lot of things that go into play. Really, just there's a lot of different facets. Um, we just talked about. I just talked about kind of the quarterback thing. Like he's not going to go to a team that writes a big check but doesn't have a quarterback, right? Like the Washington Commanders could approach Mike Evans with a really large contract, but they don't have. It doesn't make sense for him, right? He's not a foolish athlete who's just going to chase money. And the other thing is you may not want to. your number one priority may not be to win a Super Bowl, but Mike Evans has done a lot of losing, and he doesn't necessarily want to be on a losing. You're not gonna want to be on a losing team, right? You want to at least be on a team where, yeah, like if you go to the Chiefs, you can make no money, but there's a pretty good chance we're going to the Super Bowl. So it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? But if you're on at least, and I mentioned the Texans or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you can at least feel like, well, we're in the mix. We have an opportunity. Yes, we're not necessarily the favorites, but look what we could do, and I think that that's important. That's why I think the Buccaneers getting to the playoffs this year, winning a playoff game is so crucial for the culture moving forward with re-signing guys because it's a winning environment. It feels like, look, if we go there, again, are we Super Bowl favorites if I become a part of this franchise? No, maybe not, but are we going to be 5-11 and miserable from Thanksgiving onward because we're losing every week? No. And I think that that's important. Football is a hard game to play when you're losing every week and just getting run through by other teams. That's not fun. So I think winning matters. I think the quarterback matters. And I just think as long as the money is relatively comparable, I think Mike Evans will be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for the remainder of his days. I also People forget Mike Evans when the Bucs, and this is kind of like you're in the moment when he said this, but when the Buccaneers had their Super Bowl parade, Mike Evans talked about taking less money to keep guys around, which while I don't not saying that now he would take less money to keep people around, I'm just saying his focus then was not financial gain exclusively. It was There was a bigger picture and a bigger scope of in his thought process, and I doubt that in 3 years he's become, I think his scope has not shrunk and narrowed. I think he still has a big picture concept and view of the world.
So we'll see. I mean, we are going to see whenever he gets 25 to 30
Yeah,
million dollars and comes back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
that's the Mr. Bucks Nation guarantee.
Yeah, like I said, we're rattling off 100 percenters today. We're rattling off, the definitive take. So yeah, I agree with the rumor. I believe the rumor, I suppose, and I think it's going to happen. 25 to 30 million dollars. Mike Evans coming back.
Can I hit you with a rumor on Mike Evans? I don't want to harp on Mike Evans, but just a quick yes or no. How's that?
Yeah, we can do
I
that.
keep seeing a lot of rumors that Mike Evans is going to be a New York Jet next
Nope,
year.
nope, no, no, nope, not happening. Sayonara, not happening.
Even if he,
we're nipping
even
that
if,
one right in the bud.
even if Evans isn't a Buck,
No,
Jets, yes or no?
no,
I
hard no,
agree.
hard no.
I agree.
So yeah, there you go. Can't wait for Mike Evans to come back. 25 to 30 million dollars. Guess what, folks? He deserves it. So it's a beautiful thing. Here's another rumor. Are you ready for another rumor? This one comes from Tony Pauline, I believe. Billy. Baker
Okay.
Mayfield is believed to make around $40 million annually with his next contract, per Tony Pauline. We're talking about definitives today, Billy. We're talking about what I believe definitively. Here's what I believe definitively. I don't see Baker getting $40 million per year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that here's where I think Baker maxes out is
Hmm.
35. 35 is where I see the max for Baker
Okay.
to get. Okay? $35 million per year. And I believe in whatever Tony Pauline was talking about, he was referencing Daniel Jones' contract, which that's not a fully fair comparison in my opinion. Because Daniel Jones was 26 when he signed that contract, and yeah, I mean obviously, who was the GM at the time? Was it still Dave Gettleman? Whatever he gave that contract, it might have been. Point being though is that the Giants, I don't know, the Giants went out there and went crazy. And I think Baker Mayfield. Yes, while I will say Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, I think that's a definitive thing. I think it's also very fair to make more of Baker Mayfield's somewhere in between the contracts of Geno Smith and Daniel Jones, right? Because he's in the middle, where Daniel Jones was the 26-year-old hot shot coming off of his rookie contract, pay the guy the big money because you think he's the franchise quarterback. Geno Smith was the guy where, hey, I just revived my career at the age of 32. Let me get that
Yeah.
$30 million per year contract. So you have a $30 million contract per year in Geno Smith, a $40 million contract per year in Daniel Jones. I think Baker's right there in the middle, not just in terms of his contract number at $35 million per year, but I think also in terms of age, right? He's a couple years older than Daniel Jones. He's a couple years younger than Geno Smith. And it just, I think $35 million per year makes sense. That's my official prediction. Could Tony Pauline be right? Maybe. But I'm going to say that he's wrong because definitive takes here, Billy. I think Baker's going to be getting $35 million per year in his next contract. I don't believe the rumor that he is expected to make $40 million or more annually. And I do think he will be back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as we have discussed previously. Thoughts on the rumor?
Yeah. I think it's I think it's really up to Baker. I don't think he'll make that, but I think he could, if that makes sense. I think if Baker Mayfield forces the Bucs' hand, right? I just kind of mentioned this before. I think the Bucs will overpay to keep him. I don't think they'll let him leave. So if he really holds their feet to the fire, yeah, I think they'll cave and they'll give him 40 million. I don't think that's what winds up happening though. I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to be I don't think he's going to that the contract negotiation will be conducted in that manner. I actually pretty much agree with you. I think that would be maybe right at the peak, but I see him signing a 3-year contract somewhere between like a 3-year contract for roughly $100 million is kind of where I peg uh, Baker at. I just don't think that I don't think he will hold the Bucks' feet to the fire, and I also don't think, we kind of talked about this off camera a little bit. Like I don't know that how many teams are really out there who are feeling like, yes, we want Baker Mayfield and we will pay him a tremendous amount of money to be definitively our guy. I don't know that while he had a great season and it was, a career altering, narrative altering year for him, the best spot to be is in Tampa Bay, right?
100% agree.
There
100%.
so somebody would have to really like woo him and win him over to pull him and pry him away from that. I just don't. He talked about, and we referenced this on a separate podcast episode. He talked about how he came to Tampa Bay to set up roots and he was looking for stability. So the Bucs, in order to take him out of that mentality, would have to come in so far beneath what somebody else would offer him. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but not all NFL athletes just chase money. And Baker Mayfield knows because he's been through it as a professional. He was on the scrap heap a year ago. Nobody wanted him. And a year before that, again, was on the scrap heap and nobody wanted him. If he goes to a team, let's just say, I don't mean to keep picking this team and throwing them under the bus, but let's just say the Commanders. Okay, he goes to the Commanders next year and he has a terrible season. They'll be done with him and he'll be on the outs and then he'll never get another chance. And he's not, I would be shocked if he was foolish enough to go to a situation that doesn't make sense. Now, that's not to say there aren't situations that don't make sense, but then you're looking at it has to make sense for the team. They have to want to give Baker Mayfield a bunch of money and not have a quarterback, but be in a position where a quarterback sets them over the top. And it has to make sense for him because he's not going to set himself up to fail. He's already been in the league long enough to have failed and seen what that looks like and how quickly everything can turn on you. I highly doubt that Baker Mayfield is going to want to embrace that again. Again, that is not to say that there aren't teams out there, right? Like I could see the Atlanta Falcons are a team on paper that makes a lot of sense for Baker Mayfield to potentially go to. They make sense for him. I don't know that they'd be interested in him necessarily, but they make sense for him on paper because they're a talented team. They do not have a quarterback. Familiarity with the offensive coordinator is potentially there. So it makes sense, but there are going to be teams few and far between that need a quarterback, are willing to pay Baker Mayfield rather than just go draft a guy, and that makes sense for him as a potentially a spot that he could see himself.
Yeah, I agree with the 100% agree with the take of it's in Baker's best interest to come back to the Bucks.
Yeah.
Really, the only other two teams. If he wants, if the biggest thing for Baker is continuity with an offense, which it does seem like it is,
Yeah.
Atlanta or going back to the Rams or joining Dave Canales in Carolina, which we know that's not going to happen,
And two of those options are not
feasible.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's not going to be a backup
in
for two
LA.
of those three teams. He wouldn't start.
Right. So I mean,
So
essentially the only argument you can make is that he's going to go to Atlanta, but Atlanta's in a position to draft a quarterback, like you said. Now there is that argument of, okay, would they rather pay Baker than taking a
right.
quarterback and all those different types of things? But here's the thing, folks, like Atlanta also had a chance to get Baker last year,
Yep.
right? And who did they sign? They signed Taylor Heineke instead. The Bucs were the one who took that chance on Baker and it worked out. So I think that it is in the Bucs' best interest to pay Baker. I think that it is in Baker's best interest to get paid by the Bucs, and he will. Again, I already said it. I think it's 100%er that he's coming back. He's gonna get
Yeah.
he's gonna get 35 mil.
He's gonna come back because he also we talk this is the other thing we talk about. The Buccaneers are giving him treatment like he's a franchise quarterback.
Hmm.
And Baker Mayfield will not go somewhere else and receive that treatment. He's just not going to. Because frankly, to put it just so bluntly, he's very fringe if he even would deserve that treatment. And I think the Buccaneers are doing it because they realize the potential trickle down effect it could have that could benefit them down the line. As I talked about before, I think it's a very shrewd move. It's a very shrewd, like operating tactic. But Baker's not going to go to the Falcons and get consulted on things. It's not going to happen. So while they may give you a bigger check, you're just an employee. For the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield right now has the opportunity to be much more than that. He could be the face. That's not going to happen somewhere else because he hasn't done anything for some other team, right? The only team he's done something for besides his early days with the Browns is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he has a maybe a small or a short legacy, but he has a legacy in Tampa. Kind of, it's pre-built already. Won a division, won a playoff game, set a record in a playoff game in Bucs history. That's kind of already, he's much more established, is I guess what I'm trying to say in Tampa, and I don't think you have to be a perfect scenario for him to go start over somewhere else.
I agree. I agree. So look, I think we're both in agreement. Baker's coming back. A little bit different on the money. I say 35. You say, I think like 33, 32, something along
Yeah,
those
but I
lines.
think 35, same range. Ballpark is, I'm roughly 100 million, 3 years, give or take. I think something the Bucks could do that would be really smart. I think they could potentially guarantee a lot of the contract because I don't think Baker Mayfield is the kind of guy you worry about. You pay him and then he gets lazy or he shows up overweight or kind of falls off with his work ethic or his passion. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to lose drive and desire. So you could potentially give him less but guarantee it rather than give him a larger sum and not guarantee it. They could, the Bucks are always creative and they find ways to. They do a great job navigating contracts.
Yeah, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But
I,
to circle around back to the Tony Pauline thing, 40 million. Don't see it. Don't see
yeah.
it. Don't see it.
Do you
But
think if do you think the Bucks would pay him that if he forced them to?
yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna say yes. But
I
I don't
agree.
think it's gonna get to that point. I don't think it is.
We're so funny. We're
We're in
in
sync today.
agreement.
Yeah, we're in sync today. So no, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that Baker is very grateful to the Bucs. I think the Bucs are very pleased with Baker, and I think that that's gonna result in getting a deal done.
Yeah.
But Billy, let's go ahead and end off. Well, before we do the immaculate grid,
You got any other
um,
rumors, buddy?
no, no more rumors.
I wish I had another one. You didn't have another one either.
Um, yeah, we don't have any more. But real quick, by the way, if everybody likes this podcast episode, go ahead and hit the like button. Would greatly appreciate that. We gotta talk about a somber note, Billy. Sad. Look, it was 2 years in the making, essentially, right? Uh, Ryan Jensen has announced his retirement from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is a thing that has happened now. And sucks, but it's not surprising. It really isn't. I'm sure that there was some people who still had hope about Ryan Jensen and him potentially making a return, but it's not the case. Thoughts and opinions about Ryan Jensen retiring?
Yeah, like you said, it's not surprising when he didn't play at all last season, and the original report when he was when it came out that he wasn't going to play was that, the knee had not fully healed, and right from then you kind of knew, okay, he's probably not ever going to play again. Very unfortunate, of course, and Ryan Jensen, short time here in Tampa, but very
Hmm.
impressive guy. And also like obviously a Super Bowl champion, but the credibility and respect you get like for Ryan Jensen, he was at the games last year on the sidelines, you see him talking to people. That shows really great character and, you know, unfortunate that, you know, an injury like that is kind of how your career, you never want to see somebody go out like that. It is also really impressive. It makes you really admire the fact that he came back and played a playoff game with that injury. He just played through it last year for the Bucs in the playoffs against the Cowboys. Just really impressive. Since apparently it is a catastrophic injury or a career-ending injury, and he was able to kind of somehow piece it together for a game. But yeah, definitely will be missed. Uh, a ferocious, very rarely, I don't know if I've ever said these words, but a fun center to watch.
Oh, I agree 100%. And it's interesting. You said I had to look this up. You said hey, he didn't spend a lot of time in Tampa. He played and started in 65 games for the Bucs.
Was he 2019 was his first year?
2018.
2018? 2018.
So, and then for the Ravens, he only played in 4 years, 35 games, started 25. For the Bucs, he started 40 more games and played in 30 more games. So, I mean, like, he's a majority Buck. I mean,
Yeah, get him majority buck.
and if
Wow.
you're including
That's good.
2023 as well, just with him being with the organization, that's 6 years with the Bucs. Um, 2018 season, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and then 2023. So I mean, like he's been with the Bucs organization for 6 years, compared to the 4 with the Ravens. So I mean, great guy.
And
Really.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, it's just won a Super Bowl here, made a Pro Bowl here. Great, great guy. You know,
Yeah. It came a long way. Remember, he used to get a lot of penalties that were very frustrating to watch, and then he became mature enough to goad other people into penalties, and just an awesome player and the kind of guy you want, like what you want an offensive lineman to be about.
he learned the tricks, man. He learned the tricks. But no, I very grateful for Ryan Jensen and what he brought to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously wish him nothing but the best. But
You always wonder if guys like that will come and coach because he was on the sideline with the team the whole year, stayed invested, stayed interested, and the Bucks have a ton of holes on their coaching staff these days. You always wonder if a guy like that will get like some sort of an interim gig or an assistant gig somewhere
well,
on the
let's
coach.
talk about that because AQ Shipley was an offensive line coach
Right.
for the Bucs. What about Ryan Jensen? Would maybe Todd Bowles say, "Hey, man, you can come in, you can be." And look, I've seen a lot of people comment on my videos about this, and I sit there and I look at the comments and go, "Man, they kind of spitting, they kind of dropping some bars here." Like, okay, Ryan Jensen as a coach, I'd be all for it. You lost Joe Gilbert to the Carolina Panthers, and let's be honest, Harold Goodwin's gone. He went to the Carolina Panthers, and let's be honest, maybe it was time. But Ryan Jensen is a coaching intern and assistant offensive line coach. Like, why not? I remember I was looking at the Bucks coaching staff. Do you know who's on the Bucks coaching staff?
That's a
Rashad
vague question, but I
Rashad
don't.
Johnson. Remember
Is he
that guy?
really?
I didn't
Yeah,
know
I didn't
that.
know he was. I didn't know he was on the Bucks coach staff either. What is his title?
He was like an assistant secondary coach, I believe, something along those
Okay.
lines. Keith Tandy, former Bucks player,
Keith
went.
Tandy, the legend.
Yeah, he's the assistant special teams coach. He might get promoted to special teams coordinator, Billy. We don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But like, I would be 1,000,000%. I'm sure that's gonna be a conversation that'll be had. In fact, I'm gonna say it will be a conversation that will be had.
Definitive takes, James.
Definitive takes that Ryan Jensen will be asked to
It's at least,
be
yeah, that it's
to.
offered to him. Whether or not he's interested is a different.
I hope he is. I hope he is because I think that would be fantastic. I would love to see Coach Jensen out there. Keep him in Tampa Bay as well. Just the culture. You want to talk about a culture guy? Have a
Yeah.
guy like Jensen out there, former player, can help coach some of those guys up. I'd be 100% for it. What about you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I was talking about, the fact that he came to games knowing he wasn't going to play, it's very easy in that situation. If you're, you know, it's hard to keep yourself a part of the team if you're not actively engaging in any team activities, right? You literally just can't. It's very easy to get, kind of dejected and feel like you're just getting pushed out. Even if you're not, you could just kind of get in your own head with that. To be on the sideline, be at the games, be interactive with the players, and still be there as a sounding board and stuff. That I think that speaks volumes to his character. And, yeah, that's the kind of guy you would hope sticks around because he is invested in the organization, has spent a number of years here. It felt like a short time. It still does feel like a short time. I guess that's just because his career is cut short. He had many more years to go, potentially, but still, yeah, absolutely the guy you would want to keep around if he's interested.
I mean, you want to talk about culture too, like Jensen, really diving in with those O linemen and just really teaching them to get after it.
I
It
think about how much the offensive line grew this year,
yeah,
right? From the start of the season to the end of the season. There are a lot of things I'm sure that play a role in that, but this Jensen's influence or just conversations with him and the impact he's had, does that play a part there?
I agree 100%. So like I'd love to see Jensen as a coach. Will it happen? I hope it does. But like you said, you made a great point. It's up to Jensen.
Yeah.
Jensen wants to coach. I think the Buccaneers would certainly have a spot for him. If he doesn't want to coach, well, then he's not going to coach.
The AQ Shipley was a great example. The AQ Shipley one, because same thing. He had an injury and couldn't play, so then was still a part of the team in some capacity. It's a very similar situation.
Yeah, a very, very, very similar situation. But will Todd Bowles pull a BA and say, "Hey, you're not done here"? Is Todd Bowles have that in him? I don't know. Hope he does. And also, like the more important question is, would Ryan Jensen want to do that? AQ
Yeah,
Shipley did. Would Ryan Jensen want to? I don't know. But
I'd love to see Ryan Jensen on the sidelines in like a
wouldn't it be great,
tracksuit with a headset,
dude? I
with
think
the
it'd
with
be,
the with the curly like the redhead bun out the back.
dude. Please, please give it to me. But Billy, listen, we've been talking for about an hour now, and you know what it's time for. As we end off,
Oh,
as we end off the live stream,
I love it.
we are diving in.
Game's 46. That's the score to beat.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna beat 46.
We could do it, buddy.
I don't know, but we are going to take a look at the immaculate grid. Here
Oh,
we
the Bucks!
So we have a Bucks one in here.
Let's go.
Um,
The Bucks.
and we all right. So, folks, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the immaculate grid as we end off the live stream. Firstly, you have the New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right. I got one.
Yeah,
Tim Wright.
you know what? I was thinking the same guy.
Love it.
I was thinking the same
Back it
guy.
in right from jump.
I was thinking about him and Logan Mankins.
Logan Mankins. Yeah, I just thought he'd be more obscure. Oh, what a
0 points.
start.
What a great start. Now
I
we're
wonder
gonna
how much Nick Folk would have had, too.
now we're going down the list, by the way. So we'll get to the other
Yeah.
Bucks ones in a moment. But
All right.
Patriots and Giants. I'm thinking
Um,
Shane Vereen.
Wow, James, me and you today are just freakish. But I feel is that too obvious?
Who the heck remembers Shane Vereen?
We both pegged it
But
immediately.
that's us. I shouldn't say that. We
That
don't
is
know.
also true.
We don't
That
know.
is also
We don't
true.
know anything. Um, a Giant and a Patriot. It's a good one. I feel like there's some offensive.
Jabril
Oh.
Peppers.
Who's the tackle? Solder.
Nate Solder, Jabril Peppers. Nate Solder is definitely up there.
Shane Vereen's a good one. I don't think anybody's gonna remember Nate Solder. I doubt it. Who's more likely to be remembered, a running back or an offensive tackle?
I feel like, yeah, I guess that's
Solder
true.
did play a long time though,
He did.
and he was pretty decent.
I think we could get a better depth one.
Okay, I want to go to
I'm
the.
trying to think back to like the Kevin Falk era Patriots.
Oh, somebody said Legarrette. No, Legarrette Blunt never played for the. Oh, unless you were referencing.
Oh, for
Um,
Tampa. That would have been a good one. We didn't even think of that, James. Wow, that was a good one, Chad. LeGarrette Blunt for the Bucks and
Tim Wright was a pole though.
the Tim Wright's a pull. Tim
Yeah,
Wright's a deep,
yeah.
deep pull. Um, Give me an old Patriot, James, who played for the Giants. Who's an old Patriot who played for the Giants?
It's a good question.
Oh my gosh, James. Do
Yeah.
you remember Jake Ballard? Did he
No,
play for the Patriots?
I do not. Somebody said Will Allen, George Adams, and Will Allen. Willie said George Adams and Will Allen.
Who were those people?
I don't know. Well, let's go with
Who's did Jake Ballard play? Chad, did Jake Ballard play for? I know he played for the Giants. Did Jake Ballard play for the Patriots? Chad,
Willie said Akeem Ayers.
did he play for the Giants?
Let's do it. I mean, I'm trusting Willie here. If we're talking about
Wait, who did Akeem Ayers?
Willie, if you guys are gonna put something in the chat to help us out, you got to reference what block you're talking about, what teams you're talking about. I'm gonna say,
I think James, I feel good about Jake Ballard, man.
do you?
Chat, give me a feel on Jake Ballard. Who is with Jake Ballard, chat? I feel no one's back in the Jake Ballard thing, but I just know it's got to be a thing.
I want to go with Akeem Ayers because I don't even
All
remember
right,
who
Akeem
that
Ayers.
is.
Oh
That's
my gosh!
crazy.
Wow, who was that? Willie. Wow,
0.07%.
Willie, you nailed it.
That is insane. All right, Patriots.
Well done.
Patriots and Vikings. Patriots and Vikings. It's the next one on our list. What are we thinking?
About Randy Moss.
Yeah, that's a given. Not a lot of. I don't remember a lot of turnover between the two. Oh, no, I was gonna say Akeem Hicks. I don't. He never played for the Vikings.
No, I don't believe so. I feel like
Do
the fight. Who? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, Randy Moss, but
I think this Vikings row is going to be tough. I'm just looking across now. I'm like, oh, Vikings could be a challenge.
yeah,
We cannot go with Randy Moss. That is
no,
far too obvious.
yeah, I agree.
It's got to be. It doesn't have to be Akeem Ayers level because that is just
That's insane.
yeah that point oh
No, zero. Yeah, 0.07. That's insane.
nuts. That is nuts.
Yeah, Randy Moss is a good one. I mean, like that's a wild one. Rashad Baker. I don't even know who Rashad Baker is.
Shad Baker. People pulling these names out of hats.
That's facts.
Who?
That's facts. Is there a kicker? Nick Folk ever played for the Vikings? Not that I know of.
Yeah, not that I know of.
Vinatieri never played.
Quarterbacks.
Um, it's a tough one. I don't want to
Yeah,
rely on the chat too much, obviously, but I'm having a tough time pulling one besides Randy Moss.
there have to be more though.
Oh well, yeah. Any running backs?
Yeah, running backs. Who's on the Vikings? Who's a Vikings running back we can think of?
I thought of like Amir Abdullah. I don't think he ever played for the. Oh, Matt Castle. That's a good one. It's a good one. I completely forgot about Matt Castle.
I totally forgot about Matt Castle. That might be our best bet. That's certainly better than Randy Moss.
Willie's gonna pull out
Definitely.
like, oh, Jim Bob the fourth, and it'll be like 0.00005%.
Did Paul Krause ever play for the Patriots?
I don't remember who Paul Krause is.
Hopefully Willie will say, yes, Paul Krause. That's a good one. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well,
Kai Forbath.
let's
James Hill.
you know what?
James, there you are.
There I am. There I
Kai
am.
Forbath.
We're
I
gonna
don't
go with Kai
remember.
Forbath. Okay. Okay.
God. Way
Now,
to go, Willie.
now diving into this, Titans and Bucks. Sean Murphy Bunting's one.
Oh,
Adam
Sean Murphy.
Humphreys.
Adam Humphreys.
That's a
A-
really good one.
That's a gem.
Ooh, we got to go Adam.
Are we gonna find a better one?
Nick Folk.
I don't think that's necessarily better.
Did Randy
Is there
Bullock
like
ever
a
play for the Bucks? Didn't he? I feel like he did.
Any Bullock played for every team.
Yeah,
I'm trying to, man. Oh, well, Fitzpatrick too,
Fitzy.
but I think that's kind of
Blunt
obvious.
Blunt never played for the Titans.
Did he?
I don't remember him ever
I don't
playing for the
remember him playing for the
Titans.
Titans, but I
Blunt
could be.
Blunt Blunt was never drafted by the Titans. Blunt was undrafted.
I can't remember him playing for the Titans. I can't picture him in a Titans uniform, but I could be mistaken.
Sean Murphy Bunting or James Hill. There you go. Somebody said Terrence Shaw, Viking. Now, Willie, are you talking about? It's okay. Hold on. We're going through the list here. Oh God. I'm gonna say Adam Humphries.
You want to go Adam Humphries? I like the Adam Humphries poll. I think that's a good one. That's a no regrets. 4%. I can't believe our highest one is 4%.
Titans, Giants.
Harry Collins.
That's a good one, but I feel like people are gonna remember Kerry Collins a lot.
Hakeem Nicks.
Did Hakeem Nicks play for the Titans?
I'm pretty confident that he did.
Okay.
I don't know if he's better than I don't know if he's better than Ryan Suckup and Julio Jones. I didn't even think of those for Titans Bucks.
I feel like those would have been a bit more obvious, though.
Suckup's the man though.
Yeah.
Uh Gary Anderson. Like amazing. Um did Shane Vereen also play for the Titans?
Ooh, I don't know. Dion
Deion Lewis.
Lewis?
I might be confusing him with Shane Vereen. He definitely played for the Titans.
Did he play for the Giants? Dave Casper.
Dave Casper, did he play for the Raiders? Did he play for the Giants and the Titans?
I do not know.
I'm not gonna act like I
Willie,
know Dave
Willie, Willie,
Casper's
say,
full
say,
career.
Willie, say both the teams you are referencing, not just one,
Tim
because
Rattay. What a name. I only remember Tim Rattay on the Niners. That is a name.
he did play for the Bucs, though.
Tim Rattay?
Yeah,
Nice.
played one game for the Bucs or started one game for the Bucs. Um,
The Giants.
yeah, but yeah, no. If you're giving guesses, put both teams that you're referencing, not just one, because I don't know. I'm not smart enough to do the gymnastics in my head. But Titans, okay, Dion Lewis is an interesting name.
Is Dion Lewis better or worse in your mind than Kerry Collins?
Better,
Okay.
better. I think people are gonna remember Kerry Collins.
That means Dion Lewis is the name to beat.
While we're thinking about that, I do have one for. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. I do have one for Steelers Bucks.
Who is this, James?
It's our favorite guy. What do you mean?
Oh, stop it. No. Oh my gosh. In the chat I saw early on,
Wow, really? 8%?
8%. Wow. I'm shocked.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I am shocked. That's our worst one. No surprise. I uh I saw in the chat earlier that somebody somebody said, well, why don't we hire Byron Leftwich?
Shocker.
I can't remember who it was. I
That's
read it and I was like, oh, James is
shock.
gonna love it.
Thank goodness I don't. Thank goodness I didn't see that. Yeah, Byron Leftwich doesn't even get a photo, by the way. So,
Which is pretty crazy because he played recently-ish.
mm, yeah.
What was his last what was his last like getting off topic.
Let's see. Okay, so Dave Casper.
Dave Casper played for the Raiders, Titans, and Vikings. That's gonna be an amazing poll. Wow. Well done.
There you
That is
go.
a great poll. I did not know he played for anyone other than the Raiders.
Let's see. Steelers
Byron
Viking
Leftwich. There it is. Byron Leftwich. That was all me.
pain.
I like that MK comes back with the Byron Leftwich stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's becoming a thing right now, James.
Steelers Giants. Steelers Vikings. Let's see. Let's think about it.
Pat Pete for Steelers Vikings.
That's a good one.
I feel like that. I don't know if that's like. I don't think it's
Somebody
great.
said Keith Bullock.
Oh, Keith Bullock. Yes. Wow, that's awesome.
Keith Bull.
Heck yeah.
Look at that.
Willie
Steel
Willie again, man. Willie is just
Steelers, Giants. Charlie Batch never played anywhere besides the Steelers, right? Not that I know of. Hmm. Who else, Billy?
Keith Bullock's such a great pull. I remember like that's a old school Titans in my mind.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
Giants. Oh, did Plexico play for the Steelers?
Yeah, but I don't know. That's like
Wasn't
yes, he
there
did though. He
was there
played for
another
Steelers.
was there another receiver who played for Jericho Cotchery? Did he play for the
Giants, I don't think so. I don't think he played for the Jets and Steelers. Jericho Cotchery. I don't think he played for the Giants. I don't remember that. At least if it did happen.
Hmm. Yeah, Jericho Cotchery, I don't know. Who's the one guy? Sanders? Manuel Sanders? He
He played
played
for the Broncos. I don't think he and the Patriots. No, he played for the Broncos with Manning.
yeah. Oh no, I forgot to text Logan. Logan's here. Logan's arrived. I forgot to text Logan about the Immaculate Grid. I'm so sorry.
Logan, come in clutch. He gives us the Ohio State players, right?
Yeah, Logan, you got two more. Manningham. I don't know if he ever played
Logan,
for
right
this.
here in the clutch. We need you big time.
I don't know if he ever played for the Steelers though.
No, he's the Niner and a Giant, as far as I remember.
Jabril Peppers. I don't think Jabril ever played for the Steelers though.
No, we could have used him on the other column, on the
Could
first
have. He's
column.
a pretty popular player though.
But Akeem Ayers is literally the best pull on the board.
Yeah,
So
that's
good.
crazy. That's
I
crazy.
want to know how much, James. I want to know so badly. Jake Ballard has to be on that list. We have to check if Jake Ballard's on that list.
We can. We certainly can.
Hmm. Steelers Giants. James, give me some Giants quarterbacks. Who backed up Eli a bunch?
Gino backed him up.
Derek Carr,
Tyrod Taylor.
David Carr, sorry.
Um,
Tyrod, Hefty Lefty.
yeah. Yeah.
Trying to think of the Giants when they won the Super Bowl with
Earl
Phil.
Morrill. Okay, I know Earl Morrill.
Did he play for the Dolphins though?
I'm gonna go with it.
Yes, he also played for what?
Okay.
Yeah.
One more.
Is Willie like an
Maybe.
NFL encyclopedia? I don't. He's got like encyclopedic knowledge.
Steelers Vikings.
Steelers, Vikings,
Blunt never played for the
Vikings. No.
No, he did play for the
Right now,
Steelers.
all we got is Pat Pete. We have the top Pat Pete.
Uh Let me think. Yeah, it might be a bit too obvious. Might be a bit too obvious. Um, Toby Gerhart. Do you ever play for the Steelers?
I don't know. I only know him. I think he played for the Jags. I know him as a Jag and a Viking in my mind.
Hmm. If it was Jaguars, it'd be a lot more. It'd be fun. Um, any wide receivers? Who's the one guy who like Jalen Rager? Um, who is? Oh, Mike Wallace is a good one. Mike Wallace is a good one.
Did he play for the Vikings?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No, I remember him on the Dolphins and obviously the Steelers. Oh yeah, he might have played for the Vikings.
Mason Cole. We're going. Logan's got.
Mason Cole, is he the punter?
He is.
This is for everything, James. This is it right
We're
here.
trusting Logan.
This is it. Wow, 1% 19.
Mason Cole, 1%, baby. He's not even the punter. He was an O lineman.
Why did I think he's a punter?
That goes to show how deep a poll was. 19.
Oh my goodness.
19.
Wow.
My gosh.
That is insane. Our worst was Byron Leftwich at 8%.
Yeah, we could have gotten even lower.
Wow.
We could have gotten even lower.
Chat, that is insane.
Here's
Nate
some.
Solder and Pat Pete were number one.
Yeah, here's some of the top answers. Nate
Wow, we didn't
Solder
even think about Antonio Brown.
for. Oh yeah, well,
He could have been the first one too.
could have been. Plexico Burris was up there, obviously.
Wow.
Wow. What? Which one did you want to look at?
Giants, Patriots, Jake Ballard, tight end. Give it to me.
Uh, he's a tight end.
Yes.
Do you remember when he played?
I would say during the early 2010s ish.
I don't see him on here. Unless. Well, hold on. Maybe I can go. Nope, he's not on here. We would have been wrong. I'm in
Why am I
alphabetical
so
order.
dang? All right, yeah, he's not there. 100%.
Wow.
All
Wow.
right. I'm glad we went with I
Well,
think
now,
that was
guys, our score to beat is 19.
that is that's pretty crazy. We
I
went
don't.
from like 140 to 46 to
I
19.
don't know if we're ever gonna beat 19, guys.
Yeah, that's up there. How
Yeah.
much better could we do? I guess Humphreys.
We
We
could have
literally
done
only
better on
had
Humphreys and Leftwich,
James.
technically.
We had three people above 1%.
Yeah.
That's like insane. That is insane. More than half the chart is
By the way,
1%.
we bumped up the percentage of Akeem Harris to 0.09%. We bumped up the percentage on that. So there was probably us and one other person in America that did it. So
Wow.
pretty crazy. But
That is
guys,
our best one to date
oh yeah.
by far. Holy cow.
Oh yeah. Well guys, listen, we're going to end off the live stream. Did I share your
Well done.
meme? No, what was the meme? Logan, did you send a meme? Hold on. Oh, that with the let me see. Hold on, Logan. Before we end it off, you need to reference what meme? The Liam Cohen meme?
Uh-oh. There's a Liam Cohen meme?
Well, he sent a photo of Liam Cohen, but on the Bucs logo, like it's like a swap. Like let me see if I can show
Oh,
it.
on the
Yeah, like on the jersey, it's crying Jordan.
oh.
Yeah. There you go. I got it. I got it. That's good stuff. But all right, guys. Well, listen, it was a fun live stream. We talked about a lot of good stuff. We're going to go ahead and end off the live stream here. Billy, before we go ahead and leave, do you have any final words?
19.
19.
Wow.
Beautiful score.
Yeah, that was fun.
A beautiful score. Well, guys, couldn't put it any better myself. Thank you so much for watching the live stream. Hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, we're going to see you all in the next video or the next live stream here on the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to Billy. We're trying to get him 1,000 subscribers, and that'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, as always, we'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. See you soon, and go Bucs.